now look at why the aggregate demand curve might shift. Now, the aggregate demand curve shows us all those combinations of price level and output for which both goods market and money market are equilibrium. So, the aggregate demand curve comes directly from the ISLM equilibrium. In a sense, the aggregate demand curve is a representation of both the IS curve and the LM curve. So, other than price level, any factor that shifts the IS or LM curve will shift the aggregate demand curve as that changes output for any given price level. If there is a, we know, okay, if there's a change in price, that does shift the LM curve because it changes drain money supply, but that will not shift the aggregate demand curve. It will only cause a movement along the aggregate demand curve. Because we know, okay, price appears on the axis of our aggregate demand curve, so it's a movement variable, not a shift variable. So let's look at an example. In this example, we can see that the aggregate demand curve will shift to the right if either the IS curve shifts towards the right, as we can see it over here, or if the LM curve shifts towards the right because of a factor other than a change in price level. In both cases, why does this cause the aggregate demand curve to shift to the right? Because once either the IS curve shifts towards the right or the LM curve shifts towards the right, you have an increase in output at a given price level, as a result of which the AD curve shifts towards